Tonight on DungeonCraft, an adaptation of Chapter 5 of Mary Shelley's classic horror novel, Frankenstein. You've been warned. Welcome to DungeonCraft. I'm your host, Professor Dungeon Master, and tonight we present a very special adaptation of Mary Shelley's classic novel, Frankenstein. Published anonymously in 1818, the novel Frankenstein was an immediate sensation. It was shocking, like nothing ever published before, with scenes of child murders, grave robbing, and reanimated corpses. Some called it pornographic, others brilliant, and there was feverish speculation as to who wrote it. The author was 19-year-old Mary Shelley, wife of the poet Percy Shelley. The genesis of Frankenstein came to her in the form of a waking dream on a stormy night. Of this she wrote,
I saw, with shut eyes but acute mental vision, I saw the pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. I saw the hideous phantasm of a man stretched out, and then, on the working of some powerful engine, show signs of life and stir with an uneasy, half-vital motion.
Some 200 years later, the themes of Frankenstein still resonate. Genetic engineering, parental responsibility. To what extent can we extend life? Do we have a soul? Tonight on DungeonCraft, we present a dramatic reading of Chapter 5, the scene when Victor Frankenstein brings his creature to life. We've endeavored to stay as close as possible to the source material. You're not going to see any castles, no assistants named Igor, no monsters brought to life with lightning bolts. That's the stuff of Universal horror films. Victor Frankenstein is not a doctor, he's a medical student. He brings the creature to life in an apartment, not a castle. It's not called a monster, well, Victor calls it a monster. It calls itself a creature. And we're never told how that creature is brought to life. Probably so we can't recreate Victor Frankenstein's hideous experiments. But context clues suggest it's a silent birth. Victor probably used chemicals. No lightning bolts are involved. We hope you enjoy our adaptation, and if you haven't read the novel Frankenstein, we hope you check it out for yourself. And now, Chapter 5 of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It was on a dreary night of November that I beheld the accomplishment of my toils. With an anxiety that almost amounted to agony, I collected the instruments of life around me, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. It was already 1 a.m. The rain pattered dismally against the panes, and my candle was nearly burnt out, when, by the glimmer of the half-extinguished light, I saw the dull yellow eye of the creature open. How can I describe the wretch? Great God! His yellow skin scarcely covered the work of muscles and arteries beneath. His hair was of a lustrous black and flowing, his teeth of a pearly whiteness, but these luxuriances only formed a more horrid contrast with his watery eyes, his shriveled complexion, and his straight, black lips. I had worked hard for nearly 2 years for the sole purpose of infusing life into an inanimate body. But now that I had finished, the beauty of the dream vanished, and breathless horror and disgust filled my heart. Oh, no mortal could support the horror of that countenance. A mummy again, endued with animation, could not be so hideous as that wretch. Unable to endure the aspect of the being I had created, I rushed out of the room and continued a long time traversing my bedchamber, unable to compose my mind to sleep. At length, I threw myself on the bed in my clothes, endeavoring to seek a few moments of forgetfulness. But it was in vain. I slept, indeed, but I was disturbed by the wildest dreams. I thought I saw Elizabeth, in the bloom of health, walking in the streets of Ingolstadt. Delighted and surprised, I embraced her, but as I imprinted the first kiss upon her lips, they became livid with the hue of death. Her features appeared to change, and I thought that I held the corpse of my dead mother in my arms. A shroud enveloped her form, and I saw the grave worms crawling in the folds of the flannel. I started from my sleep with horror. A cold dew covered my forehead, my teeth chattered, and every limb became convulsed, when, by the dim and the yellow light of the moon as it forced its way through the window shutters, I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created. He held up the curtain of the bed, and his eyes, if eyes they may be called, were fixed upon me. His jaws opened, and he muttered some inarticulate sounds, while a grin wrinkled his cheeks. He might have spoken, but I did not hear. One hand was stretched out seemingly to detain me, but I escaped and rushed downstairs. Morning, dismal and wet, at length dawned. I did not dare return to the apartment which I inhabited, but felt impelled to hurry on, drenched by the rain which poured from a black and comfortless sky. I don't know about you, but I'm scared. Until the next time, this is Professor Dungeon Master for DungeonCraft. I'll see you at the table, and may all your future rolls be natural 20s.